Hello everyone and welcome to the Hauptstück tutorial for March. We've properly entered the territory of chapters that are not really a thing for longsword. So let's continue with one of my absolute favorites, Pnemen. It looks super cool, but what is it exactly? The literal translation would be to take away, but I personally prefer stealing or snatching, as that really resonates with how you should do this movement to break the deadlock of two fencers who both stand in hangentort, or hanging point if you will. Before we get to play around with this though, let's build the foundation. And that means beginning with a fun little footwork drill. Because Pnemen is a technique that is hard to get to work in sparring, and that is because you don't always need it to gain an advantage in hanging point. Instead, often just changing your position will definitely make a difference already. So what I do is a nice little solo drill for doing lateral double steps that's also very useful for other techniques that involve the same footwork. You can either move in the direction of your leading leg with a gathering step, or in the other direction with a triangle step. If you have the possibility, having a coach give you directions is of course a good thing to add to this, but it's totally possible to do this solo. Either way, I like to put on some nice music to keep me occupied and help me with the rhythm a bit. Something like a waltz is great if you want a short moment to settle into position after your two steps, or some music in 2/4 time if you want a bit more constant movement. After that, it's time to pick up the messer. Let's first explore how you would get into a situation where both you and your partner are in hangentort. There's many different ways in which that could happen, but for now let's take the winding road. That's right, we start from the first Zornhauptstück and then have our partner push our blade down into hanging point. If we mirror this and our partner is very focused on defense, we can push through and thrust. The most important thing here is to always push your hanging point towards your partner. Of course, when they overcommit on their defense, it's also quite easy to just thrust underneath by bringing your hand down, or following it all up by letting go below and attacking a high target, such as the head with a cut. But what if they actually also push their hangentort towards you? In that case, you could try using your lateral footwork to see if you can get around it. If so, you already know how to thrust or cut around. But if your coach still keeps firmly projecting their hanging point towards you, that's where Pnemen comes in. It pretty much comes in two parts. First, there is a loading phase during which you step forwards, with the left foot if you're right-handed ideally, and increase your pressure to ensure that your partner is also committed to this bind. The second phase is explosive as you beat down on your coach's messer with the cross of yours in a snatching motion, which then continues in a short edge cut to their head while you step out to the right side. There's two things that really make this work. One is that you need to ensure that your partner has committed to binding against you in hanging point, so you actually impact their messer and arm while it's under tension. And this is why we've been practicing thrusting through and around their hanging point. If they don't commit, you hit them, and if you somehow cannot hit them, well, that means they're committed to the bind, and you can use Pnemen. Now, when they have actually committed like that, the second thing comes in. Be explosive. Really snatch their messer as if you're stealing it, because only then will it beat open the binding enough for you to land a hit. When you bring all of this together, it does really feel good, and you'll definitely know when you get it right. To help integrate this into your fencing, let's do a bit of a choice drill to round it all out. You can both try to move around a bit, and at some point the coach attacks, leading to a Zornhauptstück counter and then moving into hanging point. From there, if the coach gives an imperfect hangentort, well, feel free to bypass it in one of the ways that you practiced. If they mirror your hanging point though, you can use Pnemen. Play around and discover. As a final note, don't design too long trainings for this at first, as it can be a bit rough on your shoulder joints if you're not yet used to working in hanging point. Instead, focus on quality over quantity in reps, and focus on moving naturally as much as you can. Enjoy, and let me know if there's any questions. Cheers!